Invasive species. Alien apex aggressors able to outcompete any native animal in the ecosystem. Recently, there has been a rash of sightings of strange and uncanny birds. Anomalous researcher Trevor Henderson has uploaded several images depicting this new invasive species that's been devastating the continental United States. Usually, anomalous evidence is confiscated for approval, but Trevor just sticks them up on Instagram. You gotta respect the absolute balls on this man. These creatures resemble regular birds, usually owls, but with no eyes or beak and instead a frighteningly large human-like smile and a set of unkempt teeth. Instead of the owl, it has a range of speech patterns, many of which sound like human vocalizations. Words, moans, and the screams of a person being ripped apart by several owls with human teeth are among the wide range of noises this species is capable of making. Unlike other species who just repeat what they've been told like parrots or political news anchors, it seems like these birds actually understand the meaning of the human language they sometimes vocalize, using it to communicate or frighten hikers.
Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberry.
While this invasive species typically hunts in a similar fashion to owls, tracking prey solo and capturing it on its own, they also display a social strategy unique to their own species. These creatures will gather together in groups of 5 to 20 and swarm larger animals, overwhelming them with sheer numbers and stripping them down to the bone as quickly as a school of piranha. Everyone's gotta stay in shape to run from the piranha birds. I know I'm healthy because the doctor took my blood and my pee and then switched them. When I was a kid, I always wondered why the doctors needed my pee, and a small part of me thought they drank it. Large collections of bones, both belonging to humans and animals, have been found in abnormally large clusters of owl pellet droppings in the area of these creatures. This may be enough evidence to show that they all poop together as friends. In areas where these invasive species appear, the regular bird variety of this species quickly decline in number, almost as if these creatures target the species they're meant to emulate. This is also backed up by the significantly disproportionate amount of owl bones found in the pellet piles. While this species is most commonly reported mimicking owls, if there are none native to the area, they will select another bird. After clearing every potential suspect for bird bestiality, an investigation was launched into the genetics of this strange specimen. As suspected, there was a combination of both human and avian DNA in each sample found. Even stranger than a human breastfeeding a squirrel. It is unknown where these hybrids have been coming from, but some other phenomena could shed light on the situation. Trevor uploaded another strange avian sample with 2 beaks and no eyes on his Instagram page as well. This provides further evidence to the theory that these creatures come from some sort of man-made source. A prototype, if you will. Even though human scientists are consistently ready, willing, able, and mentally unstable, the man-made theory is not universally accepted. Some believe that these creatures came from natural, or potentially preternatural, anomalous evolutionary processes. These are not the only strange avian varieties that Trevor has cataloged. For example, he recently posted a picture of this bird-like specimen called the mocking nightfisher, displaying a miniature human face. These photos are the only evidence of this specific species, and little is known about them other than the fact that it likely has human DNA, and probably came from the same source as the toothy birds. There is one more piece that looks as if it fits into this weird bird mouth puzzle, but it still leaves questions unanswered. For example, would you stick your dick in it? Trevor posted an image depicting an owl-like creature with 2 lamprey mouths for eyes. He titled it Pacific Northwestern Forest Lamprey, stating that it uses carrion as an ambulatory host to propagate and feed. Translation: this worm-like creature hijacks dead owls to fly around, make sexy times, and hunt. Just know if your partner dies and you want one last time with them, go with the rhyme. Shove lampreys in their eyes and brains to say goodbye with a bedsheet stain. What the hell am I talking about again? It is unconfirmed whether or not the invasive species are related to these creatures or if they occurred naturally, but what is certain from the evidence he presents is that there is an increasing number of anomalous avian predators cropping up in multiple ecosystems.
Hey, don't throw your garbage down here!
Locals call her the Hag, which she hates, though she can see why. She's a humanoid hagfish that looks like a decayed, waterlogged corpse. She's been around for a long time. She wasn't always like this. She floats face down and waits for people to jump in her pond to drown. This was the only information posted alongside these two images of this newly discovered entity dubbed the Hag. This creature was first reported by the preternatural investigator Trevor Henderson, and in his trademark style, he posted full uncensored anomalous evidence, just spread eagle on Twitter. What a badass. While this is the only info we have to draw off, it does still illuminate quite a bit about this mysterious entity. She's described as a humanoid hagfish, so we can take a look at the non-humanoid analog to understand more about the hag's physiology. I feel bad calling her a hag. You look like an Agatha. I'm calling you Agatha. The hagfish is one of the oldest living fish on the planet. It has a skull but no spine, and tiny holes run the length of its body for breathing and secreting a thick, mucus-like slime. Its face sports a jawless mouth lined with rows of razor-sharp, jagged teeth, which it uses for slicing through dead fish. These teeth are attached to two bony plates that it can manipulate to tear into corpses. Yummy! The hagfish also has a single nostril which it uses to find dead animals to feed on. You know, if you get past the eating dead bodies and being covered in a viscous slime, she's pretty chill. Makes a mean moonshine out of dead raccoons too. We can also draw on the physical attributes visible in the photo. She seems to have two mouths, one skeletal mouth that looks to be humanoid in structure, and below it, a hagfish-like mouth protruding from the neck. Her skin is obsidian-colored and coated in a thick slime. Again, like a hagfish. Gushy hagfussy. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll leave. From Trevor's description, the woman that the hagfish is puppeting seems to be alive. I mean, it says that she hates locals calling her the hag. Dead people can't hate things. They're busy being dead, idiot. Agatha's consciousness is still functioning, and trapped in her decaying body that now serves as a shell for one of the most f***ed up snotworm hermit crabs ever. If you're a huge fan of the Mans like I am, it would be impossible to see this creature and not notice a thematic similarity to other oddities reported by Trevor Henderson. The phrasing, "she was not always like this," leads one to believe that she was once a human with regular, non-slimy skin and not a neck mouth. In a different video, I covered another phenomenon that Trevor reported on: the invasive species of anomalous birds appearing in the forest ecosystems. One of these creatures, the Pacific Northwestern forest lamprey, reportedly used dead animals as a host by turduckening themselves inside of their holes and worming their way inside their nervous system. It is my theory that some sort of a hagfish-like abomination crawled up inside this lady's guts, but not in the fun way, and now uses her body as a captive meat puppet to feed on the people curious about the bloated corpse. Some anomalous researchers have theorized that this species uses humans to make it seem like they're drowning and attract passerbys, scavengers, and curious kids that want to poke it with a stick. Be honest, wouldn't you try to go help if you saw a body in the water? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why these f***ers are extinct in NYC. This is the second example of an alarming pattern of these body-snatching parasites. It seems as if this is a subsection of a different species of jawless fish that have been able to manipulate the bodies of living, decaying, and already dead matter through an unknown means. Don't ask me what it is, I didn't know. There have been numerous other alleged sightings of these or similar creatures, but none of them come from as reputable of a source. And some of them look faked, even like an AI made them. I can never get a thing straight because of humans. Can't go anywhere with you f***ers asking the cashier how many feet pics is equivalent to $1 US ass, playing which pill is laced with fentanyl for fun, phone screen primate bitch.
Yeah, mama.
Rojo.
Disclaimer, this is possibly the most f***ed up monster I've ever covered. This video contains imagery and descriptions relating to pregnancy and childbirth that some may find unsettling. Viewer discretion is advised. The Forgotten Baby is a man-sized fetus-looking creature with pinkish slime-covered translucent veiny skin, no teeth, and eyes that are disproportionately large, even for its already disproportionately large head. The Forgotten Baby was rumored to have been a believed miscarriage. When the doctors informed the expecting couple of this situation, the couple opted to remove the mass of cells that they believed to be dead from the woman's uterus, and placed it aside to be discarded in a medical waste receptacle. However, the doctor noticed it barely moving, and out of morbid curiosity, hid the being and only claimed to get rid of it. He took it home and began using everything in the kitchen sink to get it to grow. I'm talking growth hormones, steroids, insect testosterone, something that only has research about it written in Russian. He even buried it legs deep in plant fertilizer. I'm so sorry to all the little boys and girls lifting hard in the weight room that look up to Forgotten Baby because he transformed his body, but the Forgotten Baby is a fake natty. He was just lying to sell his patented brand of birth canal creatine. The doctor never really thought to restrain the man-sized fetus that he kept in his basement. Seriously, how the hell did this one get through human medical school? It means nothing. I like how our species does it. We just let anyone do surgery. Same as owning guns and drive-bys. So anyways, like any responsible, self-respecting physician, one day this doctor blacks out after taking a lot of horse tranquilizer that he prescribed to himself. Thought the man-sized fetus scream gurgling in his living room was his dog barking to get outside, which he didn't have a dog, and proceeds to let it outside. The huge problem here, aside from everything else that's beyond belief about this entire situation, this being never acquired a brain past the point of a barely developed fetus, leading to strange and horrific consequences for its behavioral psychology. Immediately upon being let outside, this being began to look in the windows of every house it encountered until it found an expectant mother. This being would then wait until everyone in the house was asleep and compress itself into an impossibly small size to squeeze through any crack in the structure of the house. It will then attempt to put its hand on the belly of the pregnant woman, causing the woman to miscarry. After making contact, it will leave the house. Before too long, the Forgotten Baby will return to the house with much more sinister intentions. It enters the bedroom of the sleeping woman and attempts to compress itself and crawl the up inside of her. The slime its skin secretes puts the woman in a sedative state when this happens, so she doesn't freak the out about the horrific things that are happening to her. Sometimes it re-expands on the way in by accident. This usually kills the woman in an explosion of viscera, as, you know, there's basically the entire body of a full-grown f***ing man up there. This reminds me of that one porn of that lady who had a giant vagina and stuck the entire head of a bald man in there. Do you know that one? No? Okay, then me neither then. The most f***ed up part is if it actually gets inside of the womb. From here, the Forgotten Baby hooks can somehow override the mother's normal behavior to essentially brainwash them into protecting it. Like how that wasp who shits eggs in caterpillars makes the caterpillar love the worms growing inside of them. Nature is just so beautiful sometimes. I mean, not right now. This is f***ing awful, but I don't know, touch some grass. She will forget that she lost her baby and refuse any attempts to convince her otherwise. Even if shown evidence, she will reject the notion and protect the monstrosity at all costs, even isolating herself from all those who used to be closest to her. This monster never grows or comes to term, just leeching nutrients off the mother until she slowly withers away. A slow, painful death. Her skin begins to pale, her energy levels drop, along with, you know, bone density, nails, hair, and teeth fall out. F*** it, the eyes fall out too. That's one hell of a tapeworm you got there, baby. Maybe just a shit ton of vodka and cigarettes then? Don't pussy out halfway through or you'll end up something like our resident human, the eye prophet.
F***ing asshole.
I really hope I didn't just lose the entire female section of my audience with this one. Don't look at me like that. I didn't write the concept. I just based it off of Clark Tidor's video, extrapolated the science, and wrote some jokes. This is a really disturbing one, even for me. I feel like someone's gonna use this video as evidence for their Huffington Post listicle about why unbirth porn is problematic. A recurring dream of a cramped hallway bleached with white light from no perceivable source. You know that the only way out of this space is past the surreal figure blocking the way forward. Every night, the figure takes one ungainly step toward you, right before you wake up. This was the only information posted alongside a new anomalous creature discovered by paranormal investigator Trevor Henderson. I have no idea how this man hasn't been contained by some foundation with the amount of preternatural cheeks the mad lad leaks on Instagram. While this information leaves most of this creature in the dark, there are still a few things we can derive from this initial description. For starters, we know that the hallway is anomalous in some capacity, as the light filling it seemingly has no source. Although this is a dream, so all bets are kinda off on the whole rules of reality thing. The creature appears to get closer in every recurring dream, taking a step at the end of each one. Whatever happens when the creature gets to its host is unknown. Some anomalous researchers think you just wake up, or die, but you should assume the worst possible thing that you can imagine, +1. What's worse, apparently the only way out of this space is passing by this big old goober. Good luck. We can also infer some information from the image of the creature attached to the post. An armless, tall, gangly monstrosity with smooth, pale skin. Long, skinny legs that look impossible to balance its elongated frame on, a twisted midsection with interlocking folds of distorted flesh, and a featureless face that somehow still stares you in the face despite the lack of eyes. Seeing how this entity always manifests in a reoccurring dream, I decided to research psychology on reoccurring dreams. I love human psychology because the entire field is about a monkey that fails to understand itself, and for some reason the founder of it did massive amounts of cocaine and wants to bang his own mom. He was also just wrong about a lot of this but he's the only psychologist any humans can name. What the hell am I talking about again? Some researchers believe that recurring dreams reflect themes in one's life, such as past trauma, neglected or unmet needs, or current severe psychological stresses in the waking life. My theory is that this monster is a manifestation of an entity that could be unique to the psychology of the person that sees it in their recurring dream. Either that, or it's just some sort of regular demon that appears in dreams, and I'm an idiot that drank maybe a tad too much airplane glue. This guy kinda looks like a mangled dong. If this creature is based on the fears or needs of the person's internal psyche, it's very likely that the crampedness of the corridors, along with the massive creature, suggests something about the nature of this recurring dream. Of course, this is all speculation from half-assed research in the initial description, but just like putting metal in the microwave, there's only one way to find out. The country road creature is a vaguely humanoid-shaped quadruped creature that walks high off the road using its long, disproportionate arms. The entire body is emaciated, skin gripping tightly to the bone. There is not a single strand of hair stemming from its pale, slender body. It has an extremity structure similar to a chimpanzee or ape, meaning that its toes are opposable and almost as dexterous as their fingers. In addition, all of these creatures' joints are a ball and socket joint, meaning that it can move any part of itself in any direction. It's able to move at staggering speeds in a series of unnatural manners. It can also seemingly climb any surface and contort itself through spaces much smaller than its own body. This creature's head looks like a bald old man with gleaming white pupilless eyes and razor-sharp teeth. Now we can't even feel safe when we see a smiling naked old man in the middle of the forest at night. Is nothing sacred anymore? The country road creature frequents country roads. Idiot. It's an intriguing paranormal version of an ambush predator, disguising itself as a human by contorting its body to fit into items of clothing from its previous victims while obscuring its distended limbs. While some say it can shapeshift, it actually can just contort into a variety of forms. It is fully capable of overpowering a human on its own if the person is out in the middle of a backcountry road on foot, but in a car they move far too fast to catch up to and capture. From here, it has one of several strategies. It sometimes attempts to hitchhike, showing that it's either intelligent or can at least mimic behaviors that it has seen humans undertake. Other times, it will make its way to remote rest stops and wait in the shadows for someone to get gas, slipping underneath the car and holding on until the human pulls away, at which point it smashes open the window, attacking the human and causing a car wreck. It quickly consumes the victim and disappears back into the wilderness. Some have even speculated that this creature disguises itself as truck stop hookers in order to get the fattest of truckers to make sure it gets all its nutrients, and that someone who speculated it was me. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, I wouldn't get tricked by this. It would take some sort of dumb idiot to get fooled by this goober. That confidence is usually what kills your species in the first place. Just saying. I'm willing to bet there are more people alive that think the Earth is flat now than back then in the 3rd century BC. You're not getting smarter, there are just more of you.
Foolish, delicious human. Wait, what the f*** are you? Did you just pull a me on myself?
You are, without a doubt, the ugliest truck stop prostitute I have ever seen in my entire life. Long horse. Longhorse is a creature that has a jawless horse skull for a head and a long, flexible neck that extends seemingly infinitely. It has a black mane cropping out of its pale skin that runs from its head along its entire body and neck. This creature can extend and add more joints to its neck at will, making a sound as if it's actually just snapping the bone rather than creating another joint. Although the Longhorse looks creepy as shit, it's actually a benevolent entity that protects humans and watches over them from a distance, only contacting them to warn them of tragedies to come. We had to talk to it about the watching from a distance part, but he swears it's only to protect you and not to watch you eat off. The cracking noise and the amount of joints its neck displays is actually a system of communication. The louder the cracks and the more joints it has, the more horrific the event that is about to come. If you were to communicate like a Longhorse, you would be able to say "I love you" in a series of sickening crunches and pops. I know what Longhorse is trying to do, and it's noble, but there's one huge flaw in the entire plan here. Most humans don't speak dislocated jaw bendy straw noises. Even if they get it's a warning, it's not like they'll know what the Longhorse is trying to tell them anyways. Longhorses can appear to humans both in real life and also in dreams. When a Longhorse appears in a dream, it means it's slightly less of a grave situation than appearing in real life. Or is it more? I don't know. I just know that it means something. Probably. In one incident, a man reported seeing a Longhorse in a wet dream, and that's why we don't talk to him anymore. See, I'm not always one for the supernatural, and I'm here to tell you, if you see Longhorse in your dreams, there is a scientific explanation. Are you ever in school or work in your dreams, or someone from your life is in your dreams, or someone tells you something and then it's in your dreams? Is it possible that maybe you saw a YouTube video and human brains are suggestible as hell? No, it's not possible. That's f***ing ridiculous. The scientific explanation is that Longhorse is real and you should be incredibly Longhorse has actually appeared to me in a dream, except I was naked in a school and I hadn't studied for my test for my being chased by a monster class, but Longhorse was actually my elementary school teacher who I thought was really hot, and then all my teeth fell out. I woke up that day and stubbed my toe on my neighbor's new car that he just got hit by, just as the Longhorse predicted. He has seemingly been around as long as humanity has had sentient thought, or longer, as he was noted in cave paintings from prehistoric humanity. Longhorse has been depicted in every human society since your species had the tools and brain capacity to document things. Even now, Longhorse sets the trends, absolutely killing it on his meme page, and even appealing to horny boomers by appearing on Maxim's top 10 sexiest abominations. Longhorse apparently has a quite curious nature, and will examine the humans he is warning with a perplexed and interested expression. He sometimes scares people when he wanders curiously, even to the point of having a heart attack. Longhorse is a quick thinker though, and he said that he was just warning them of heart attacks to get away with it. He enjoys, but does not require, offerings such as apples or sugar cubes. The Longhorse for some reason smells like cinnamon. No one really knows why. Some think it's to calm the person that the Longhorse has come to warn, and others think that the Longhorse is just kinda into the cologne because he thinks it makes him smell sexy. Scientists have concluded that he is right. The God of Chickens. The God of Chickens is a tall, skinny, white humanoid chicken. Similar to chickens, instead of having both a front hole and a back hole, it has only one hole. Its face sports a pair of giant red eyes with minuscule black dots for pupils. You're probably wondering why the hell this weird thing exists, and it's to punish those who eat poultry or abuse chickens. Fun fact, did you know that chickens recognize up to 100 faces, feel emotions, dream when they sleep at night, and can also be fried with up to 11 different herbs and spices? Well, the God of Chicken knows, and now he also knows that you know. The God of Chickens is seemingly intelligent, as it likes to psychologically torture its victims before going in for the final kill. Any eggs the victim has in their house will begin to rot and crack, making the room smell like a North American neckbeard nest. Any unrotten eggs that the target attempts to crack open will have an unborn chicken fetus inside. Consuming this stillborn chicken fetus leads to infertility, if you were thinking about doing that for some f***ed up reason. If the household has any poultry animals, these will all become incredibly violent, seemingly working as a team to attack any humans or other domestic animals in the vicinity. The God of Chicken also seems to have a strange venom of sorts. After a target is pecked, they begin to feel sick, sluggish, nauseous, and they gain an excess of weight. When examined at the doctors, the physician expressed that it's almost as if the victim had been pumped full of steroids and antibiotics. just like a chicken on the factory line. The god of chickens will eventually appear after enough Chick-fil-A themed torture, murdering the victim with a well-placed and incredibly deep peck to the center of the heart. The body is usually found later being fed upon by chickens. You can tell if the god of chickens is nearby because all chickens in the area will go completely silent before going batshit insane and clucking repeatedly as loud as they can. It can command all poultry in the area, often spurring them to violence. It can be hard to tell if the god of chickens is nearby because lots of chickens are just naturally loud dickheads. In some egg farms with cruel practices, there have been mysterious cases of all of the chickens in the farm somehow getting outside of the property and wandering together in large groups away from the facility. Upon inspection of the building, it was found that the workers of the factory were crammed into the cages that are considered much too small for even a chicken. Their bones and joints distended and cracked to fit them into these boxes like a jigsaw puzzle. Despite these injuries, every worker was somehow alive and responsive upon discovery. One worker was quoted as saying, "Oh God, why?" In other reports of factories where the chickens have escaped in a similar manner, investigators found the human workers clogging the grinder they used to kill the baby male chickens to turn them into dog food. Fortunately, this did not interrupt the supply chain, and even more dog food was shipped out on time the next day. Unconfirmed accounts of the god of chicken shoving eggs up into people's asses has also been reported. To keep our resident human safe, we've begun feeding him a diet of raw red meat and microplastics only. Side note, this one time I was in a Whole Foods, and I remember the line was taking an incredibly long time. This kind of annoyed me, so I peeked my head out to the front to see what the issue was, and there was this woman just screaming at the poor dude behind the registers because the Whole Foods was apparently out of grass-fed chicken. I don't think I've ever seen anything funnier than the expression of the checkout man on the brink of tears trying to explain to this Karen that chickens don't eat grass. This chicken monster also carries a special chicken egg, which is often seen levitating between both of its strange chicken feet hands. It lays this egg to gain control over poultry, manipulate other eggs in the area, or cause any dead poultry products to move as if they were still live muscle. It often unlays this egg back up into its weird one waist/egg hole to protect it, but you can easily just stomp really hard on its stomach to get it to shit it out so you can crush it. I have not had a single lucid thought in the past 2.5 years. If you can smash this egg, the god of chickens will lose its higher cognition and the rest of its abilities, becoming a regular human-shaped bipedal chicken, also known as delicious. I know what some of you are going to say. Isn't that the same image you used for your basis of the stalker in the backrooms? The answer is yes. There could be a simple explanation of me not knowing the god of chicken's existence at the time of making that video, but since I definitely know all and would never make a mistake, I now suspect that they are the same person. Think about it. Have you ever seen the god of chickens and the backroom stalker in the same room at the same time? Coincidence? I think not. Highway worms are incredibly large animals that resemble dark yellow worms. They have glowing eyes, leathery rough skin, and a mouth with an uncannily similar structure to that of a human's. Similar to an eel, it can bend and contort itself in any direction, and squeeze into tight spaces like tunnels and under freeway overpasses, either to wait for prey or to go dormant and remain hidden when inactive. These creatures hunt entirely at night, since it'd be impossible for them to remain hidden during the day, as individual instances have been reported at up to 65 feet long. Some paranormal researchers have theorized that the highway worm is actually the next stage in the bridgeworm's metamorphic life cycle, but none of these claims have been substantiated, and are likely false due to the many differences between the two species. Also, if this were true, because of the bridgeworm versus highway worm videos, highway worm would go to jail for beating his son, but because he's just physically assaulting a random stranger to the point of death, no harm done. While highway worm seems fearsome, he's thought of among other monstrosities as not threatening since he was rendered irrelevant after getting banned from most socials due to his controversial comedy special.
Raising a child is about discipline. You gotta hit them just the right amount. Too much and they become a serial killer, but too little and they become a serial killer.
Whoa! You suck. The highway worm frequents highways, dipshit. These worms have been spotted all around the world, but are more concentrated in highly developed countries with numerous roadways. The highway worm is a solitary ambush predator, waiting for cars to cross its path, then accosting its human prey, similar to the bridgeworm. Unlike the bridgeworm, however, only the smallest of highway worms have to tear people out of their cars, as large ones can just swallow cars whole, and digest not only the animals inside, but somehow the entire car itself. This worm will not only eat humans, but literally any living creature in sight.
Is this okay? I'm touching your worms. Is it cool? We cool? You're not supposed to touch someone's worms without asking. This is what's gonna be going into our food later.
Highway worms are worms in name alone, as they are actually more closely related to moray eels. It's thought that the highway worm is a distant relative of the moray eel that resides in caverns on land rather than holes in coral reefs. Nature has proven that wherever there is a hole, there will be many, many worms to fill it. If you want proof, just check your intestines. While the highway worm can reproduce by laying eggs, it also has a defense mechanism that allows it to clone itself. Although it's more similar to a moray eel in behavior and general anatomy, it shares an ability with many worms to regenerate lost body parts. The first reports of this ability came when an interstate transport driver attempted to kill the highway worm by hitting it with her truck. She successfully bisected the worm, and then in true human fashion, left the truck and started celebrating as the worm's head grew a new body, and its body grew a new head. Both highway worms proceeded to fight over the transport worker's limbs. You're probably wondering where I got all this information about this creature that hasn't been stated by Trevor or isn't on any of the wikis or videos.
Why don't you back it up with a source? My source is that I made it the f up.
So this is that highway worm everyone's been talking about. Well, I like it. Yo, I gotta show you something while you're driving. Check out this sick disclaimer, dude. The God of Roadkill. The God of Roadkill is an entity that manifests either just before or shortly after animals are killed by a vehicle. Through an unknown method, this being causes humans to have car accidents, either to protect an animal from an oncoming vehicle or to avenge their death by flipping an inattentive motorist into the nearest ditch. This entity is theorized to be a spiritual one rather than a biological one. It's rumored to help the souls of dead animals cross over to the other side after their lives ended tragically and violently, subsequently consuming their physical form as a reward. Some researchers suspect that the God of Roadkill is actually just some sort of freak engaging in necrophilia and bestiality at the same time. And by some researchers, I mean me. It has a human-like upper body that looks as if it's had its lower half severed just above the hips on the spine, almost as if it was cut in half by a car. Because of this, it moves around by using its disproportionately long arms to crawl. Reports of the creature have ranged in size from 20 to 35 feet tall. It has no skin, only ragged and torn musculature with jagged bones piercing through. Its head looks like a vulture's, except a much longer and distended beak and many human-like eyes placed seemingly at random about the skull. His form can vary depending on the severity of the creature's demise. If it was quick and painless, the entity usually has minimal flesh and stark white bleached bones. If the animal were to have a gruesome demise, the God of Roadkill appears caked in dried blood, with organs trailing behind, leaving a trail of blood and viscera as it drags itself along the road. This is kinda messed up, but that actually made me kinda hungry. The creature looks, and especially smells, to be in a state of constant decay, although it never actually decays. Maggots, fungus, and other decomposers call this creature's rotting body home, making it a harbinger for various diseases. If a human makes contact with this creature after surviving the car crash, they are very likely to develop a fatal infection in the days to come. This infection mimics how dead matter decomposes to the letter. The only caveat is the person is alive to watch themselves fall apart. While it is not fully understood how the God of Roadkill causes these accidents, there are a few hints in the reports that help paint a picture. For starters, the cars always look as if they've been hit by something incredibly large and heavy, like a tree, but the patterns look more similar to an accident where the motorist struck flesh and bone rather than a plant. Human authorities know of few animals large enough for this, and the regions that have these unexplainable car wrecks can't really blame it on elephants. It's thought that the God of Roadkill either manifests immediately in front of a car or leaps out in front of it at a great pace. It's like the classic movie scene where the friend jumps in front of a bullet for another friend, except the friends are the animal and the God of Roadkill, and your car is the bullet. Now, some of you might consider the God of Roadkill evil for murdering humans for a bunch of squirrels, but from the God of Roadkill's perspective, he just saw you murder a squirrel because you wanted to order chicken nuggets from the highway so you wouldn't have to wait 35 minutes when you got home. He's kinda got a better reason than you. Fun fact, there is a vertebrate animal run over by a car around every 11.5 seconds in the United States. What a waste of life, but more importantly, what a waste of food. In an attempt to avoid the God of Roadkill opening up my nutsack at the seam with some other dingus's windshield, we're gonna go ahead and try to repurpose some of this meat that is left on the road every day. It is my hope that if we eat this rotting meat, we can lie to the horrific monsters that we as humans actually respect animals. I've heard from the reviews that the quality kind of varies. I mean, you kind of got to expect that. It's either venison or raccoon meat, so it's a mixed bag. Now, it's not that I think the average American is lacking food. To be honest, it's just the opposite. But you know, I think maybe a few tapeworms or intestinal parasites might be good for us. We're thinking outside the box. Okay, so here it is. As you can see, the outside is noticeably more purple than most meat I am accustomed to. Also, it seems to be, you can see here, fairly torn up. Yeah, nothing tenderizes a good steak like busting the front axle on a Toyota Prius. If you're wondering what type of meat this is, I can assure you that I am as well. I feel like ordinary sausage. Hey there, folks, welcome back. I wonder how you're supposed to cook this. Okay, so, it says not to. So let's get into it. All right, so I think what we're gonna do is just get some salt. Some salt, yeah. Because that's what, this is meat, I think. That's what you put on meat. Nice and salty. Oh wow, the backside is quite purple. I don't know what's wrong with me, man. I got this shit all in my hands. I gotta pour this salt like this. Oh no, it's too much.
Welcome to Asmer with meat. This is concluded Asmer with meat.
Okay, I think the meat is salty enough. I don't know, man. I'm gonna wash my hands now and put it in, I guess, the oven. I don't even know what this shit. Okay, 400 degrees. Start. And into the oven it goes. Well, that's not a good sign. Yo, is my oven on fire? Oh no! We're just gonna ignore it. I'm gonna wait for the timer to be done. I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna hope for all the problems to go away. Two things I don't think things through and know where the oven mitts are.
All right then. Let's this is a bad idea. What the fuck? Oh! Ah!
It's fine. We're just gonna grab the meat and then, oh no. Okay. Pick it up. Yeah. Okay. So here's our weird meat. Alright, so let's see. Let's see about this. Let's cut it open. Interesting. Alright, moment of truth. Not bad. Real quick, if you like this video and want to see me cover more of Trevor Henderson's creations, please like, comment, and subscribe with all notifications enabled. You should also go watch my other videos covering the Trevor Henderson critters, or I'll throw a squirrel in front of your car on the highway.